Good evening, and welcome to the Raven House of Mysterious Happenings. In tonight's comic book review, we are going to travel a little ways down the road and see what we can see as we enter the Sinister House. So, if you are ready, here we go. Secrets of Sinister House, issue number 14. Now, this comic is part of a horror anthology series by DC Comics, and this particular issue was published in 1973. Secrets of Sinister House was one of many horror titles published by DC back in the 1970s, along with other titles like The House of Mystery, The House of Secrets, and Forbidden Tales of Dark Mansion. This issue contains 3 stories, each of which is introduced by the Old Witch, who acts as the kind of hostess for Sinister House. The first story is an adaptation of a classic tale by Ambrose Bierce called The Man and the Snake. In this story, a young man is traveling to San Francisco to see an old friend who is an expert in snakes. Now, while he's staying at this person's house, this young man has an encounter with a very unusual snake that seems to have a hypnotic ability. The second story is called The Roommate, and in this tale, a young man goes to visit his fiancée at a girls' school in Vermont. The young man learns that his fiancée has a new roommate, a woman by the name of Ariadne, and she's a very beautiful and very alluring woman, and this young man is just captivated by her. Sometime later, when the young man learns that his fiancée has died under mysterious circumstances, he starts to realize that maybe the roommate, Ariadne, has some dark secret of her own. The third story is called The Glass Nightmare. In this story, a businessman is traveling in upstate New York and his car breaks down in a small town. While going to a farmhouse for help, he encounters an elderly gentleman who makes glass toys for the children. They're like glass snow globes, and they're very realistic looking, and the businessman is very intrigued by them. He's like, boy, there is great detail, and it's like, they're so real, it's like looking into another world. And he tells the elderly man, hey, you should come with me to the city and we can sell these and make a lot of money. But the elderly man is, he's very content living in this small town, and he just enjoys making these snow globes for the local kids. They really like him, and he just likes doing it, and he's not interested in making money or anything. Well, this infuriates the businessman, and it results in a tragic accident. But the businessman then seizes on an opportunity to take possession of all these snow globes. But as it happens, a sudden change of event, suddenly he finds himself caught in a real nightmare. I really liked this issue. It was really kind of a good example of classic horror comics. When I was a young kid, when this comic came out, my older cousin had a copy, and he lent it to me to read. And, I found it pretty scary, especially The Glass Nightmare. I remember really scared me as a young kid. And I read through the issue a couple of times. And that was, of course, many years ago. A few years ago, I started thinking about that issue and thought, well, maybe I could try to find my own copy of it. The problem was I wasn't sure what the title of the comic was. I remembered the 3 stories, but it took a little bit of detective work and a little bit of research to find out that it was the Secrets of Sinister House, issue number 14. The best lead I had, of course, was it was an adaptation of the Ambrose Bierce story, The Man and the Snake. But I was glad to finally find it and pick up a used copy. It was a lot of fun to read. I hadn't read it in over 30 years, and it's an issue that holds up very well. It's a little dated now, but when this issue was published, horror comics were very popular at the time, and this particular issue was just a great example of that. The artwork is very well done. Most of the artwork was done by a man by the name of Alfred Alcala. He did the artwork on 2 of the stories. The Man and the Snake is a great adaptation, and I still think the Glass Nightmare is my favorite story of the 3, and still kind of gives me chills to read it. But it's a good issue. Definitely, if you're ever curious about an issue of from the 70s of the horror comics, this is a good issue to pick up. Most of them are usually pretty good, but this one is it's really good. I'm glad I found it and was able to read it again, and they're a lot of fun, and it's just a good issue to be able to read again and to relive. Well, that's about it for my review, so thank you as always for listening.